Hello, everyone. We're here for Everything Under the Sun, which is our happy hour. Everyone gets together show. All right. So Jay-Z was going to show us what he got in the mail.
Look, I got a package in the
So
mail.
Jay-Z was going to show us what he got in the mail.
Look, I got a package in the mail.
Wow.
All right. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
I saw it and it was like Amazon, but I didn't order anything from Amazon. And I thought, that's weird. And then I looked and it had my name on it. So I was like, oh, this isn't misdelivered. It's a present.
Whoa. Wait, who's it from? Do you know?
I don't know because it says it's from Amazon.
Are you going to return it?
Huh?
Are you going to return it?
I think I know who it's from because they asked for my address. And wait.
It's not even your birthday.
Oh, look, it says a gift for you. This is my favorite style salt pipe. Enjoy.
Oh my God.
So remember that episode when we were talking about salt pipes?
I do.
I do too. Nice. Oh, this is so excellent.
Tell us again what a salt pipe is.
Yeah, Jenna, tell us about the salt pipe.
So when we were on the episode, we were talking about like smoking and trying to quit smoking. And I had mentioned that salt pipes, while they're really good for clearing congestion and things like that, they can also be really good for the oral fixation part of smoking. And using a salt pipe and experiencing the restricted breathing of a salt pipe can mimic smoking and actually help to curb cravings. And when we were talking about it, I just saw Jay-Z's face light up and I was like, he needs a salt pipe.
Absolutely. Oh my God, I'm so excited. So I'm going to put salt in it and then you breathe the air through the salt and the pipe.
It might already have the salt in it. It's been a while since I bought one.
Oh, all right. Oh my God, this is so exciting.
Like Himalayan pink salt. And you can put essential oils in it too. Like frankincense is a good one, or peppermint, or furs.
Oh, nice.
So Laurel's saying there's feedback. I don't hear it, but I guess do we want to mute if we're not talking? I mean, I don't know if that makes it heard.
I don't hear it either. I think it's usually if someone has like the YouTube live stream in a different tab and it's that other tab is not muted, then you'll get the echo.
Okay, cool. Well, I got something from Jenna as well. I got Pokemon cards.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to open this up. I've never actually seen Pokemon. So Jenna, wait, okay, let's see the salt pipe.
I've never seen a salt pipe before.
Salt inhaler.
The salt inhaler. It's an essential oil salt inhaler. So I'm gonna I've got some good essential oils to try out too for my collection. Oh, this is nice. This is very exciting. All right, this is what it looks like. It's got a whole bunch of salt in the box loose. But so this is it. I'm gonna put the salt in this down at the bottom here. Then I'm gonna breathe through it.
Mm-hmm. You can hold it upright too, like you'll plug it back up.
Okay. Yeah, it came with salt.
Oh, beautiful.
Crazy when you see something you've never heard of before and you're like 48 years old. You're like, how did I get 48 years without knowing about this?
Well, I'm 69 and I never heard of it either. So
I was going to say the same thing. Me and Debbie.
Crazy.
It's funny because the person who introduced me to astrology also introduced me to this salt pipes.
Dang.
now I have diffusers and I use essential oils, but I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, same here.
It's a good vision product.
Wait, where do I put the essential oil?
You can just,
since you're the expert,
you can put it right onto the salt and it'll eventually like lose its potency. And then at that point you can add more if you want.
Oh, it's like really salty.
It is. Yeah. You'll get used to it. But if you're like phlegmy or congested and you really breathe deep, like pranayama, it'll start to loosen things up and get the flow going.
Yeah, the air is coming in these, and then it's it tastes really good. Really like
Doesn't look it's tough as like a real pipe.
Have it like a
Yeah.
saxophone.
Is it better than a neti pot?
It's different. It's different.
Because
It's
that's what I use. I use a neti pot.
you can do them both.
oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah,
It's
let's
still
see.
going in the same place though with your
It is. That is true. But this, you get the taste buds, I guess,
Yeah.
right? Because you get taste buds. Oh, this is fun. Oh my God. Thank you, Jenna.
I'm
This
so
is
glad you
so
liked
fun.
it.
All right, I'm going to open this Pokemon card. Now, Jenna, tell us Pokemon. You say you capture animals in Pokemon?
Yeah, they're like make-believe animals. And it started in like the late 1990s. And I was probably a little too old to be as into it as I was, but that's fine. And you get your little team of up to 6 Pokemon, and you go and you venture around and you meet other trainers and you fight your Pokemon together. Or you can like find wild Pokemon and beat them up and then capture them and then nurse them back to health, and then they're part of your team.
So they're all these little, like, this is matchup.
Yeah.
So they're just little animals that I've now, Pontia, I've now captured these little animals.
Yes. This is and you got a good mix there. Drowsy's great. He turns into Hypno. He has psychic energy.
Oh my God, Electabuzz. That's kind of cool.
Oh, he's great. Yes.
Look, I got an energy token.
Ooh. You could play the real game in battle.
I played Pokemon Go obsessively until I reached level 40, which was the highest level that you could play at the time. And then I quit. But
yeah.
I was obsessed.
That was a beautiful time in human history when Pokemon Go came on the scene. It was really bringing communities together. So,
is that a video game?
It's like a phone game.
I was a teacher during that time, so it was not great because like I was teaching middle school and kids were trying to go and find Pokemon during class.
Well, I'm going to study my Pokemon and send you something back in the mail, Jenna. I mean, one of the dangers of sending me something in the mail is you're going to get something back. So that's just cuidado. Be careful.
I saw you got an Arcanine or a Growlithe in there too. That's one of my favorites. So,
oh my God, I'm going to have to study. I'm going to have to study.
Oh,
I just watched my son play those. I never played them.
They're really fun.
Me neither.
Look,
I did play
a-
Candy Crush though. I did the Candy Crush. I got up to level 6,000 and I'm like, I'm done with this.
Ooh,
I can't do this anymore.
too serious.
That's very high.
Yeah.
Wow, Jay-Z, you have a Pokemon hat.
yeah, I have an Ash Ketchum hat.
I love
Just
it.
saying.
Wow.
He's
Who's Ash Ketchum?
He's the Pokemon trainer who's like kind of the protagonist in the that series.
This is my Arcanine that you can't see it because of my blurry back. Oh, you can kind of see it. It's shiny and foily. Isn't it pretty?
Oh, nice.
I keep disappearing.
Pretty.
He's camera shy. I'll put him away.
I used to play this on Game Boy. I had the cartridges. I had blue, red, and yellow.
Wow.
Just saying.
You were dedicated.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Into Pokemon. That's a good present.
I know where my next deck's going.
All right. Well, we got our mail trade intro out of the way. Does anyone have anything they want to say about how they're doing in general? How is everyone doing?
I'm with you. I'm with you, Deb.
Kim's here in the chat. He's not here in the video, but
Oh,
right.
hey.
Well, I think a good question to start with. We have 3 topics tonight, but the first one I think we should start with is how often do you cry?
Rarely.
Really?
I don't usually talk. I'm not a big crier, but I'll tell you I was thinking about what you were saying about things that like kind of touch your heart. There are 2 songs that I will just cry a river over. One was Beautiful Boy by John Lennon. And that song's been around for a while, but when I saw it on that movie with Mr. Holland's opus.
Mm-hmm.
It really touched my heart. But what really gets me is I played that song. When my son got married, he said, pick a song for us to dance to. And I chose that one.
Oh, wow.
Did you
And
cry?
oh my God. Every time I hear that song, I cry now.
Oh, because of the memory of the.
Well, because it's all about him, like his, growing up and, hold my hand. And then, and it's like, watching them grow up and I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry.
Oh my God, she's gonna cry. Are you acting? Are you acting, or are you really crying?
No, I'm really crying. But then when I'm acting and I'm crying, I'm really crying because I really feel it. But the other thing is, the other one was this person that I met that he was my soulmate, and this song was "Falling in Love in a Coffee Shop" by. I know it wasn't a popular song, but
I
there
never
was.
heard it.
No, I know it was rarely played on the radio. This was in 2008. It was on a couple of times. And the day that he passed away, I was supposed to go for a doctor's appointment, which I kept saying I wanted a morning appointment, and they wouldn't let me have a morning appointment. Well, he passed away in the morning. So I went to go see him. And then I had to go to the doctor's. So I went to the doctor's, and he wanted to be with me. And of course, he passed away. I'm in the doctor's office. You're waiting for the doctor to come in, and the song comes on. This song comes on, and I'm like, he's here with me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went after that. It was amazing. It just felt him there. And then I had to go get flowers for the funeral, and I go into the shop, and that song is on again.
Wow.
And then the third time was about a week later after he passed. I decided to write a book about our story. So I go back to Staten Island, and I'm walking around, and I'm fiddling around with I was trying to do something with my camera. I was taking pictures. And all of a sudden I hear that song somewhere and I look around, and I'm standing in the driveway of the church where we first met.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. So thanks for sharing that. So Magdalena's saying that as she gets older, she finds that she's less able or willing to control her emotional responses. So tell us about that.
Well, okay, so I rarely cry, but I feel like as I've gotten older, I'm letting my guard down more. And there's been a few things that have come up that are very difficult. Basically, every time I say goodbye to my nephew, who I talk to on the phone from time to time, I cry because he's been institutionalized for mental illness, and it's not easy. His mother has been trying for a long time to create a space for him to come home to, but she has so much difficulties in her life that that's been very difficult to do, and he's having a hard time. And I can't promise him that we're going to get him out, but I can't. I don't want to leave him feeling negative either. So there's that tension, right? And I can't. And so I've learned that I can say until we talk on the phone again, I'll be holding you in my heart. I can say that, and then I have to say it without breaking down.
Interesting. Man, you made me verklempt saying that. Wow. I bawled today, actually. It's funny that this came up. I was like bawling like right before this episode. Actually, I had to clean off my eyes because I was crying.
Why?
Oh, because I was on a family call and my dad has had some. Okay, I'll tell you something. Like he gives me permission to talk about his chart, but like Saturn backed up to his T square. He has a T square in Sag, Gemini, and Virgo, and Saturn's right on it. And he lost use of his legs because he had cold feet. That's Saturn and Pisces. And he like couldn't get off the floor anyway. He's fine now, but like I was crying because like what if my dad died? You know, I was just having that like, Dad, don't not talk to me before you die. Like I was like, people don't even know what you think of my career. I was like, and then I was like, it's not about me though. And he's like, well, he's like, what I think is that is your job and you are to do it. And I was like, okay. He's an astrophysicist, you know, so people always want to know like what he thinks about the astrology thing. And he's like, it is your job. Get to work. I was like, okay. Anyway, I was balling. So I don't cry more. Well, I probably cry more often than non-water charts. How about you, Laurel? How often do you cry?
It's interesting that I cry a lot. So I have a Pisces Mars, and so a lot of times I will cry when I feel angry and I'm unable to like express it through being mad. And so when I or if I feel kind of like humiliated or just like wronged in some way, but I also cry for other people. Like I have a lot of empathy and sympathy for when I feel that other people too are being wronged in some way, or I like will cry watching certain things and when I'm relating to other people's feelings and emotions. Animals make me cry. But I did go for years without crying. And then when I started to cry again, it was like I felt embarrassed, like self-conscious, like I doubted my reasoning around crying. Like I felt like it wasn't genuine or something. But I cry a lot more easily now. So I'm back to crying.
Yeah. It really is a gift, I think, like being able to cry, because for so long I wasn't in touch with my emotions enough to do it. And now when I get the urge or I'm like, wait, take it. You got to cry. Make space. It's time.
Yeah.
Well, you got an air moon and you're a double fire. So like, do you guys think that in some charts there are more tears available than in other charts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like someone on the page today was talking about how they have a lot of water in their chart, and like Judith Hill says that watery charts like burst down to tears a lot. Do you guys identify with like watery charts crying a lot?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my best friend is a Pisces moon and Scorpio Mercury, and she cries. She'll just start talking to you about whatever it is, and that'll make her cry. So she's always like kind of crying, but I'm used to it, so it's not like I have to console her.
Yeah, my daughter is heavy Pisces, and it's the same. But then she has a Capricorn moon, so she's like, I'm not crying. And I'm like, no, you're literally pouring tears from your Pisces, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Uranus, and Chiron. Like, stop.
I cry a lot, and I feel like I'm an Aquarius, and so but I have a Cancer Mars and a Pisces Venus, and so there is that like I hate that I cry when I'm mad. I cry when I see beautiful art. The moon might make me cry. It's a lot, but I'm an Aquarius, and so I hate it, or I feel very exposed. But I've noticed a lot of my friends are air signs, like air suns, but they all have like either a watery Venus or a water moon that I'm very close to. So I do think that there's some water in your personal planets helps.
Yeah.
It does feel cathartic, I guess, the crying, like the release. I always feel like that was my Pisces Venus.
That's what it's for, especially for women. And I've got 3 cancers in my life, and they're all much more watery than one of them has a grand water trine, and it can get pretty wallowy.
Well, it makes me think of this book, The Secret Life of Water, or The Healing Power of Water by Masaru Emoto. Like, you know how if you play nice music to the water molecules, they arrange themselves very nicely.
Yeah,
and
it's very cool.
Water, and I think the water people I know, it's like literally your water molecules get bent out of shape, and then you cry, and they like readjust their molecular,
structure.
Yeah. So,
Well,
that makes sense.
I can speak to this too because I have a grand trine in water. I have 4 planets in Pisces, 2 in Cancer, and 2 in Scorpio. Wow. So I'm like all water. And I used to cry a lot, but I cried a lot actually, like you're saying, Laurel, like when of feeling like unable to express yourself, like when I felt unable to express myself, I would cry, or because I felt misunderstood, or like a lot of those kind of reasons. I also can say that after I transitioned and started injecting myself with testosterone every other week, I stopped crying pretty much.
Yeah.
And I barely cry at all now. But I don't think it's like a macho thing. I think it's actually that I match up better and feel less misunderstood. And that I don't have all this misunderstandings and like things are going actually really well in my life. So I don't really have a lot to cry over at a personal level.
Yeah.
So I have someone in my life when they were much younger, a male. His father used to say that he would cry at the drop of a hat, and he has no planets in water. Or Uranus and Cancer maybe, but nothing else in water. So it's kind of
provable evidence against astrology. Whoa.
Have you ever?
My astro lens is off for a second.
Sometimes, sometimes a lack of something can put emphasis on it. Like, so if there's,
yeah.
I wonder if maybe he has like Hygeia in a water sign, just like the idea of like, how does he scrub up? How does he like clean himself up and like kind of sanitize?
I'm not very familiar with the asteroids, but that's something to look into.
Yeah.
So just so you guys hear some news, Jenna is going to be our co-host for this show. So maybe in future episodes, she will run the talking and I'll just sit here quietly unless she calls on me. So we'll be figuring out like how that works, but she's going to be the co-host for this show. So that's cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
Oh, nice.
Congrats.
Thank you. I'm honored.
She helps think of topics and invite people and stuff like that. Okay, so thanks for talking about how often we cry. I like to have one personal topic in everything under the sun because I feel like it helps us get personally connected and bond with each other, which I think bonding is a good thing. We talked about bonding, right? Okay, who has been tripping on the queue, by the way, since our last talk? I decided I'm GLBTQ, which is I'm romantically interested in anyone who's in my queue. No, I'm just anyone who I align queues with. Well, that queue conversation was cool, but I think the next conversation we should have today is Jenna brought up a topic which was about reading charts for children. Why is it controversial? Why, what about? So Jenna, I'll let you lead that discussion, maybe.
Well, I always was fine with it. And then I was introduced to some astrologers that felt really strongly that it could be something that might be used in a more forecasting way that could be negative, or the child, especially if they're exposed to it, might feel pigeonholed. Like it's something where perhaps we might need to really think ethically about what we're saying or what we're presenting. I think that being said, like we want to practice ethically, so we would consider all of those potential harms. But also there's another side of it that I think is interesting to consider, that like, for instance, right now, children being born right now have Pluto and Aquarius. Do we really know what that energy is? Like none of us have really experienced it except for literally right now. So we don't really know what it is for a human to embody that energy. So anything, especially with Aquarius energy, like it's so of the future and so innovative that it's like, how could we possibly innovate or predict around what that could mean, especially in aspects to other things? So it's like, is it sloppy at that point? But provocative. Sorry, guys.
Well, since everyone's being quiet and I have some ideas, I'm going to talk. Okay, one is I think one of the dangerous things about reading charts for children is it's a double power differential. First of all, you're like, I'm your mom, so I'm in control, and also I can see your chart. Like that's kind of messed up, right? So it's like I'm always really careful about how and when I include my kid's chart in the discussion, or if she comes to me and says like, my friends and I said I'm a Sagittarius and this and that, I might like speak to that in a moment. But like, I really try not to be like, well, this is going to happen in your chart and your transit is this. But I always use her chart like in our meetings every night. Like we will definitely refer to her transits. Like she starts like, having a hard transit, we'll be like timing it and be like, okay, 3 more days on this. And like, we definitely do strategic planning around the chart, but I definitely am aware of the power differential and what I do. Second of all, you're right, with planets that we don't know how they're going to express, I think what I do is look at it in the body. Okay, Pluto and Aquarius will intensify the circulation system of this generation. And then I watch and learn, what does that even mean? Okay, sorry.
I like that. Like you're creating a scaffolding for what it could be and then allowing that to kind of unfold.
Jenna, you're in charge.
Oh, okay. Debbie.
Thanks. What's interesting is for anybody who has, when you have children who are now in Pluto in Aquarius, I like to look back at the cycles of what was going on historically. And then there might be even some famous people who were born during that time that maybe have made some contribution to humanity that we can kind of dig in a little bit of how those outer planets have had some sort of impact. Of course, it's never the same because, the outer planets are not always lined up the same way as they were, 84 years ago, 168 years or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I often take that care with my friends because I feel like there's an ethical thing that happens there too. I know their charts, and then I don't want to just go, oh wow, you're having a hard time unless they're actually asking me directly a question. And I take the same care with my husband. He's actually on this chat, so hi. That he's his. I hope he doesn't mind me saying anything, but he has a Jupiter and North Node in Pisces, and he's that it usually is an indication that these kinds of occult things are attractive and stuff like that. But I won't get into it with him unless he's actually asking a direct question.
Yeah,
unless there's something really serious that's going on, and it's like just to give a heads up.
Yeah. I think consent is really important. And it's like, I love what you're saying, because it's like, yes, adults can 100% give consent, especially people in our lives that we have these kind of layered relationships with, or really intense relationships where we know that we might even be biased about it. Like how could, even with our own charts, when we look at our transits and we have our biases that we bring to it, but then can a child give consent? Well, not legally.
Not really.
So
yeah. Well, and the power differential.
The other thing is, if anybody has asked me to have, do their children's chart, I would ask them, why do you want that? Because, there's the other side of the coin of that is, will the parent be using that against their child, or using it like, well, I know what you're all about, so, I would kind of explore that too and ask them, oh, so why do you want this? What is the purpose of you asking me to do your child's chart?
Yeah, I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just thinking about, like, even aside from astrology, how at least in my family, they tend to put people in like a role early on, and then they that person seemingly can never change, or they maybe just by like having been called whatever it is, they do things that may be according to that. So I can see a similarity like with astrology. So that is worrisome. But also I was thinking about how like young people, when they're like in their early teens, become interested in astrology. And so that might be a way to introduce them to their own chart, just like give them like reading materials and have them self-discover if that's, so.
Like I'll never talk. Yeah, I'll never talk with my son about astrology, because he doesn't. It would have to be for the same reason. Like it's not something that he wants from me. But what was interesting was going through the process of being a mother, and I think he was about 7 days old or something when I had an astrologer come in and do a reading. It was one of the things. I didn't know anything. I knew something about astrology, but I had no idea about, all of this kind of power stuff, and I just wanted to know what to expect about how to take care of this child,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was interesting to go through the process because as she began talking about him, he started to cry, and she kind of laughed. She goes, they know that they're coming into this world, and they know that they're being talked about. And she spoke to all the wonderful things, that his character was. She spoke to some of the difficulties that he might have, but she didn't speak to certain difficulties that I know now were the power plays between parent and child, or not power play, but the possible misreading, even well-intentioned, but misreading of what that energy is, and misunderstanding. So it's a very sensitive thing to even just read for a kid. I would have liked to have known more about the health and mental health components. And then we just have to, we all have our karmas with each other, and the transits we've been through together, and as he's gotten older, have all been really amazing. But it's just interesting to compare to that moment in time when he was really, really little, and I was just trying to understand.
Yeah.
I find it interesting when people are like, look at my here, just this will be fun. Look at my baby's chart. And like it's really not fun for me as an astrologer, because I'm like seeing like 13 T-squares and a grand cross, and I'm just like trying to make a good face, like, oh, this will, but like part of you is just like, oh God, like, so I think it's a little stressful for the astrologer sometimes with the baby charts, but of course what I try to do is just like celebrate the baby with the parent, be like, oh, look at this gift, look, it looks like a musical gift in here, and like just really point out what I noticed that's really cool. But you have to learn to filter that, and I think young astrologers maybe don't know how to filter when you're, there's like looking, and then there's conveying. Like just because you see something doesn't mean you have to convey that to the parent.
Yeah, you don't want to be the doctor that goes, whoa. No.
Right.
And I feel like there's damage that can happen with that too. Like I have a moon Pluto opposition, and my mom's a Cancer rising, and I feel like if she were told something about that moon Pluto opposition, sometimes parents want to try and protect or avoid, and it's like you can't live your kid, like your kid has to live through these things. It's going to be hard to watch, and like you're their parent, but like you can't protect them from everything. And it's also, I like thinking about the two-way, like the synastry of what can you learn from this child. And just like, you know, if their sun's on your Pluto, then it's gonna be stirring something up. Like there's like, what can you learn about yourself from being the parent too?
Yeah,
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Can be pretty beautiful that way too.
Mm-hmm.
We have a very close relationship.
Yeah.
His Pluto is Scorpio and mine is in Leo.
One of the things I like to do. I'm sorry, Jenna. I'm not trying to overtalk in your segment here, but
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I have a very talkative chart. I'm always trying to calibrate. No, I want to think one of the beautiful uses of kids' charts is activity creation. You know, because as a parent, you're doing a lot of curation of the child's activities, and you know, I always have used the chart of like, you know, like my daughter has a very crafty chord in her chart, and whenever I see something hitting that, I make sure to take her to Michael's or make sure she has all the craft supplies she needs so that she can really live out that transit in a healthy way. You know, or one time she had Mars hit her Mercury square Uranus and she got a migraine, and the next day she woke up and she could read. And so, like, you know, making sure that she had enough, you know, every time she has a transit to that Mercury Uranus, to make sure she has enough books to read, or like, you know, so I think activity creation is a very healthy use, and you don't have to tell the kid like, well, you've got a Mars Saturn conjunction, so I've got you some books. Like, I don't even tell her the transit. I just do the activity creation. I don't tell her.
I have a question. I've done a couple children's readings, and it's interesting, baby versus the kid's been alive at least a few years, of just when you're saying like, oh, these kind of activities would help them or make them feel really good. And then it's so fun when like the parent lights up like, oh my gosh, like this, my Cancer son loves to like cuddle his stuffed animals and stuff. Like they are seeing this already. And I'm wondering, when you read for a newborn, and like, because it's like, you know, just naming suggestions, but we don't know anything about the child. Like because the child's not giving consent of, you know, there's so many ways Cancer can show up if you're a Cancer. And like, you know, I'm wondering, should we wait a few years before we read children's charts, like for a parent, because of that, with the activity component?
That's a really good question. I like, sometimes with newborns, I really like reading how can the parent show up in the best way? Like, how can you model that? So like if it's a baby with a strong Cancer, it's like, show the child what it is to be cuddly and nurturing, and show them what it is to show up with that energy so that maybe they understand how to mirror it back.
Okay, that makes sense.
So would you actually like use the you know, like the sun and the ascendant of the parents and compare it to the child's fourth house or to the moon or something like that? Yeah.
I like looking at the moon. So I work in the adoption world, helping parents of adoptees learn about the unique needs of their children. And one thing that I really like to roll into that, even though it's not so much astrology there, it's more consulting, is talking about moon signs and talking about how you can show up as a skillful, nurturing figure based on the moon signs, and seeing the moon as like the needs of the child. But then this gets into that whole like, well, now we're reading a child's chart and kind of making assumptions. But even we see a lot of teenagers who are adopted or just separated from their families having a lot of trouble. That's the Saturn opposition. So talking about these more generational planets, like, hey, your child's in their Saturn opposition. Let's talk about where their Saturn is. Let's talk about what it means to be doing their first do-it-yourself project of figuring out their identity, of really deciding like, well, where are the boundaries of what I do identify with that I've been presented with as part of who I am and what I don't. And then how can we incorporate, for instance, Taurus energy into that situation? How can a parent support their child with this Taurus activity?
Nice. Yeah.
I think reading a baby's chart is like delineating. You can say these are possible options or expressions, but when we read a 2-year-old's chart, that's a very different equation, which is we have seen these behaviors expressing for 2 years now. So Kimber, I think you make a really good point, which is it's not that you can't read a baby's chart, but it's almost like a predictive delineation. But at 2 years old, it's a data gathering observance situation.
Yeah.
What
You
about
think you could? Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Do you think that the progressions would help if you could find,
I
like,
was gonna
because if
say
you,
that's where it's gonna go.
Yeah.
yeah, if you could use the progressions to do that kind of, predictive work, because then like if it's 2 degrees over, that's 2 years. That'll be a 2 year thing. And how does that change? How does that work with the chart and with the parents' chart?
Yeah.
I like using progressions in that type of reflective way where it's like, let's look at what progressions they're under right now. I, for a brief time, thought, hey, wouldn't it be helpful for a parent of a newborn to have the 90-day map of the transits that their child is undergoing so they could take, no, you know what a newborn's parent doesn't need is more crap to think about. So I stay very far away from progressions as they're occurring, as those 1-day increments are happening in those first 3 months of life. But
Well, particularly the moon in 2 years would be a 24-degree, advance. So that would work nice to look at, to see how that works.
Yeah. I think though, looking back at it, like I remember when my son was 6 days old, I was trying to nurse my daughter to sleep and he cried for a couple minutes and I beat myself up about this for years. I was like, it's the reason he's so sensitive. It's the reason he has ADHD. It's the reason everything, because I let him cry for 6 minutes. And when he was 6 years old, this was at 6 days old, I got divorced from his dad. And he was alone with his emotions, with his feelings for a time as I was making those adjustments too. So it really is powerful to in the moment be like, oh, this kind of, in my opinion, horrible thing that my son went through. Oh my gosh. But then astrology really allowed me to release myself of that guilt, because it was kind of like the universe had a message here. It had a mission for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've often wanted to go through my own progressions and figure out what my parents were going through, month by month kind of thing, year by year. That would have been fun. They're dead now, so I can't even imagine that they would even remember any of that.
Yeah. It's something kids nowadays, like with cell phones and the tens of thousands of photos, like they'll be able to go back and see exactly what was happening.
Well, that is when you look at the Pluto by transit, like that. So they're Pluto Aquarius, as opposed to like my generation, Pluto and Leo, very different, very different.
But now you're making me think, one thing I could do is I did a baby book for my son, and it's got dates in it and stuff like that. I think it might be fun to go back in and go,
That's helped me a lot. My mom kept
Yeah.
journals, and she also has a baby book that she'd write on the day and the time. She's like super Gemini and Virgo, but it's like, great, thank you. Because then I was able to do some study with that and perfections. So she wrote down everything and filmed everything.
Cool.
So one thought that's coming to mind is like, I feel like astrology can be used when you're an elder of sorts, because a parent is like an elder, in a very wise way, or it can be used just in this like willy-nilly way of like, oh, you're this and your transit's this, and like, so I think if we look at it as like we are wise elders with a chart in our tool of loving, like it makes me think of my daughter's friend is kind of a bigger form physically. And I chose to show her body type in the body types book, because she's a Capricorn Cancer.
Nice.
And she's a big girl. And I was like, oh, you look just like your chart. Let me show you a picture. And I knew it was a push. I knew I was going to have to be kind of showing her a picture of like a big body. But I wanted, as a mother, to say to her, you look exactly as you should. You're beautiful, right? But in that way, it was a push, and I knew it was going to be kind of awkward for a second, but I chose to do it. And so I feel like that's an example of
mother. Did it land well?
Did it land? Yeah, it did. She was real deadpan about it, but I think it did land. And so that was an example of utilizing the astrology tool very cognizantly on purpose, even though it was kind of a push.
I think as parents too, we can fearmonger ourselves, like as astrologers who are parents, when I started looking at astrocartography, my son's Pluto is 5 minutes from his IC. We live on his Pluto line, and he's been raised on his Pluto line. He came in with that, like he chose that. So at first I was like, should we be moving? Like, I need to get him out of here. This is awful. But no, he's here to learn from that. So
I mean, my parents moved to my Pluto line, so it was like I grew up on it anyway. So it doesn't, I mean, things happen. I love astrocartography. I want to talk about it.
We could put it on the schedule for next week.
Yeah. I have more questions than like thoughts. Yeah.
All right. Do you guys want to move on to our last topic?
Sure.
Do you want me to, I guess I'll take over, Jenna. Good job.
I tried my best.
You did awesome. All right. I like that where we each take segments. That's actually cool. Okay, so the last thing we're going to talk about today is the Uranus in Gemini transit. So, yeah, anyone have any thoughts on what the Uranus in Gemini is going to bring?
Aha moments.
I have a 4-planet Gemini stellium in the second house, but it just went through all my Taurus stuff, so I survived that. Oh, it was not great, but
well, when Uranus went into Gemini earlier this year, my whole communications blew up, texting and phone messages and emails, and really being overwhelmed with people wanting to talk to me about one thing or another, and out of the blue. I mean, totally unexpected, and I've just been using some of the quieter times to figure out, okay, how can I rest in between? Because it's pretty erratic energy and electric. We're having this whole thing in our house right now where we found out about dirty electricity. So this is supposedly a thing where as the electricity comes in from the solar array and comes into the house, I can't explain the whole thing, but it's how it translates from DC to AC current. And supposedly this dirty electricity has all kinds of effects on people. Now, they've not been able to prove without a doubt that the physical problems can happen, but other people swear that they lose sleep, and there's all kinds of stuff you can look up, and there's books about it, and there's filters you can buy, and there's all kinds of stuff. And so we've been dealing a lot with electricity.
So it can be actually affecting the nervous system. Is that what you're saying? The nervous
system. Yep.
The other thing that comes to mind, and I've been thinking about this for a while since I was working in a school district. And I do think with the way things are with budgeting of monies and finances on a mundane level, I have this weird feeling that I think that schooling is going to be at home, online. And I've been saying that for a long time. But this is ripe. This is a ripe time with Uranus and Gemini.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's nice about when it ingresses next April, or it's staying at that point, is Venus is in Gemini too with it. And I feel like that's kind of like, I love running event charts and just like interpreting them as like kind of like the punch, like the birth of that transit. So Venus kind of inviting in, like hand holding Gemini, like, okay, it's time, we're restoring balance together here. And it's squaring the transiting nodes. And it just feels so symbolic for like, and we're going to make it. We're going to keep going. We're going to evolve. So.
Yeah, we will survive. You know what? We will. It's just, a matter of like, now we're facing a lot of change, especially with all the outer planets going from, water and earth to now air and fire. It's a different gig. And it is like, it is stimulating. And maybe for some people overstimulating,
Right.
I think people are realizing how overstimulated they are.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting like, how many people are now like self-diagnosing and like getting more access to figuring out neurodivergencies. And it's like almost like just in time for the sign of communication to be going through some wild and unexpected changes and revelation.
It was last weekend that I saw this whole lecture with Mark Jones on this is the age of anxiety for the next 7 years, I guess, whatever. But, and there's a lot to be anxiety, there's a lot of things that can be causing that anxiety, in this day and age of what's going on. But yeah.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so when we get into like prediction, I always like go to the physical body again, and so like what I know from Uranus and Gemini is like the dermatome that goes down the hand into the arm and also the throat chakra are going to be full of electricity. So it's like in mankind, I guess this is where we get like the age of anxiety is like we have all this electrical energy coming in. So it's like it makes you think of people like typing and more social media and that's why we switched to live streams. At the press we're like, okay, Jupiter and Gemini, we talked a lot. Now Uranus and Gemini, we're going to open it up to like, we don't know what's going to happen. So I think like honoring that we need stimulation in the mental areas. And that's just one piece of the puzzle.
It also
makes me wonder
happening at the same time as like Pluto and Aquarius, and just how we can go into the shadow or like the higher path with both of those. Like I feel like using your voice for what, or if you don't speak or change the way we speak or like use our mental faculties, there's like that risk of just kind of detaching in some way and like not really engaging with what's going on.
I think there's a lot of spontaneity too, like Jenna was saying before. But the Uranus energy is bringing like all sorts of different choices popping up here and there, and I think it's interesting too that people are learning to talk to AI and how to get AI to talk back to them, and like that's a new development in communications.
Definitely.
But Aquarius is about humanity, and that's the thing. Mark Jones was saying he is really against the whole AI thing and thinks that it will be really putting a dent into humanity. Pluto is Pluto. It takes you down and then it brings you back up. So we'll always survive, because if we want humanity to move to be here, we will do whatever it takes. Like we may, maybe we'll do AI. Maybe it will be great. But there might be moments when we think, wait a minute. Maybe this is not so great. And so we have to adjust to that so that we can make for the perseverance, to preserve our, humanity. We have to make sure that we're safe and we're going to always be there.
It's like with any revolution, really, like there's that period of like, we're really stuck in our traditions and we've outgrown it. Pluto in Capricorn, maybe.
Yes.
And then we swing almost too far, Pluto in Aquarius, and then go to an extreme. And then we kind of have to figure it out and find a place in the middle. Is that going to be Pisces? I don't know. Is it going to be Aries?
Well, I would challenge a little bit of the fear of losing our humanity, because I think that everything is about change and changing, and that maybe what is the evolution of humanity is a bit of a melding with machines and technology, right? I mean, if you talk to anybody that, had a pacemaker, but now anybody that like has knee replacements and anybody that has cataract surgery, and we are using technology to fix up our bodies so we can live as humans more longer, perhaps fuller lives, and I do think that people have a fear, here we talk about fear again, anxiety of the unknown, and are more comfortable in the known. So maybe they're comfortable in the earthy Capricorn area, but really we're moving through air. And yeah, Jenna, maybe we're moving to Pisces and dissolution. Who knows?
Well, that's interesting about the air part, because, it's about bringing people together, new ideas being exchanged. This morning, I opened up our local newspaper, and there was this practically a full page ad about how Californians, while there are so many Californians, our population is among the least likely to offer their organs to donate their organs for placements. And one of the first things that caught my eye was lungs, Gemini and lungs. That and it was a full body. All those missing were the dermatomes, Andy, because they would show the different body part and how long it could live, away from its donor, and so how quickly you might have to implant it. But the information was so startling, because it was all in one place. Like, here's this part of the body, and here's that part of the body, and it was yeah. I could see how more information, or more curated information even, could be helpful for people to make those choices. Blast some of the myths, some of the misconceptions, and then also bring in what is the possibly positive innovation there.
I'd love social media to kind of change for the younger generation. All my nieces are in their teens, and I feel like when social media came out for everyone older than 1985, it's there had been some social communication and connection. So we just kind of post what we want to post, and it's they've seen these are kids who've seen people get canceled. They're they have all this anxiety about living life, or they're only living online. So it's maybe getting their own individual voice, or the good of social media, where it's less about this curated image and more authentic, would be cool for the younger generation.
That authenticity is definitely coming through in the marketing classes that I've been seeing coming around, because that makes people unique. You're authentic.
Yeah.
If anything from our generation I've learned is change. We didn't have even PCs back then. We didn't, you know what I'm saying? It's we had telephone booths. We didn't have iPhones.
Right.
Yeah, the connection. I hope the Gemini connection part.
We've come a long way, a long way.
Change is exponential. So anything that took 100 years, if you think of over 100 years from telephones and cars and airplanes, and now 10 years, and then what has happened in 10 years will happen in 1 year,
Exactly. I think that's the fear. It goes so fast. It's been, exponentially just getting faster and faster. So it's wait a minute, our generation, wait. Can we just, let me take a breath and let me try to digest this.
Right. Gemini wants to take that breath.
Yeah. I think the concern is that our bodies can't keep up as quickly as technology can keep up. We can't adapt that quickly.
Yes.
Right.
I can personally say myself that I really feel like time has moved faster. No, it's me moving slower, but that's the way it feels like. It's like a retrograde kind of feel.
All right, sorry you guys, it's 6:30. We got to clip this. This was a very good conversation. So all right, raise your hand if you want to be invited next week. All right.
Woo!
right, well, we'll see y'all next week. Think of some topics, and good job, Jenna. Thank you for being the co-host.
Yay.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Thanks for everything.
Nicely done.
Thanks for the salt pipe, Jenna.
Yeah, of course. Anytime.
Thanks for the Arcanine.
Woo! Twinsies.
Bye.
The Arcanine smell from the
Bye.
salt pipe. Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh,
He wants to hit
salty.
too.